East Africa has long been shaped by shared histories, shared cultures, and shared political struggles. But in the age of NGO power, social media mobilization, and global donor funding, borders matter less, and influence travels faster than ever. In today's investigation, we examine a growing theory that the unrest surrounding Tanzania's election did not originate entirely within its borders, but was amplified, perhaps even strategically manufactured, by a well-established activism ecosystem in Kenya. This documentary does not claim guilt or conspiracy. Instead, we explore how such influence could happen, why it is plausible, and what regional dynamics reveal about the modern activism industry. The East African activism landscape. Now let us look at Kenya as the regional activism capital. For nearly 2 decades, Kenya has functioned as the headquarters of East African civil society. Today, more than 70% of major Western donor programs for the region are coordinated through Nairobi. The city is home to thousands of NGOs, advocacy networks, policy institutes, media hubs, and digital rights organizations. With stable connectivity, English proficiency, media openness, and a strong university culture, Nairobi evolved into what many call the Silicon Valley of activism in East Africa.
If East Africa were a human body, Kenya would be the brain, processing, coordinating, and distributing ideological and financial signals across the region.
Welcome back to Borderline Africa. In this segment, we look at how donor structures shape activism across East Africa and why Kenya sits at the center of that ecosystem. For many US and European foundations, supporting democracy, human rights, governance, and civil society is done through regional hubs, not individual countries. And East Africa's main hub is Nairobi. Why? First, Kenya has better financial transparency and banking infrastructure compared to most of the region. International donors prefer environments where money can be easily tracked, audited, and legally protected. From grant disbursement to operational budgets, Kenya offers stronger legal frameworks for NGOs, trusts, and foundations. This makes it easier for Western organizations to send money safely and ensure compliance with international standards. Second, most large embassies and development agencies operate from Nairobi. Whether it's USAID, the European Union, the UN system, Amnesty International, or private foundations like Ford, Rockefeller, and OSF, many of their Africa or East Africa offices are based here. That concentration of institutions naturally attracts regional advocacy networks, journalists, researchers, and training organizations. Third, logistics. It's far more efficient to bring activists from Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and even South Sudan into Nairobi for workshops, capacity building, and conferences. Kenya's visa system, flight connections, hotels, and digital infrastructure make operations smoother and more predictable. And finally, money movement. Regional programs, from elections to governance to policy advocacy, often require cross-border transfers. Kenya's financial system and mobile money ecosystem make it easier to allocate funds to partners working in neighboring countries. This is why, even when the issue is happening elsewhere, whether in Tanzania, Uganda, or the DRC, the planning, funding, or training behind that activism often passes through Kenya first. Nairobi is not just a city. It is the nerve center of East African donor strategy. Stay with us as we continue to explore how regional activism ecosystems are built, funded, and coordinated, right here on Borderline Africa.
The cross-border networks. To understand how activism influence crosses borders, we must examine the networks that link Kenya and Tanzania. Over the last decade, dozens of regional NGOs have built shared programs that operate simultaneously in Nairobi, Arusha, Dar es Salaam, and Zanzibar. These networks focus on human rights, election monitoring, digital freedoms, governance, and youth mobilization. Many Tanzanian activists receive training from Kenyan-based organizations. Workshops happen in Nairobi, mentorship happens online, and strategy documents circulate across WhatsApp and encrypted platforms. This ecosystem may be decentralized, but it is far from disconnected. The digital command centers. Beyond physical networks, digital infrastructure plays a crucial role. Kenyan organizations have access to advanced tools, social media analytics dashboards, fundraising software, digital security training, and communication systems capable of coordinating thousands of supporters. During sensitive political moments, these tools can generate rapid regional influence. Hashtags, petition campaigns, video explainers, influencer collaborations, and coordinated messaging can spread from Nairobi to Dar es Salaam within hours. None of this requires crossing a physical border. It only requires coordination, timing, and connectivity. Why Tanzania is more sensitive to external influence. Tanzania's political environment makes it particularly responsive and vulnerable to external activism influence. While Kenya has a history of competitive multi-party politics, open activism, and vocal civil society, Tanzania's political space is more tightly controlled. This means domestic NGOs operate with greater caution. Public dissent is harder to organize. Media freedoms are more restricted. Online activists face stricter consequences. When you combine these factors with Kenya's more open activism culture, the result is predictable. Kenyan-based organizations become the louder voice in regional political advocacy. Their framing of events can overshadow local Tanzanian perspectives, especially during tense election periods. In a world where narratives travel faster than facts, Kenya's activism infrastructure becomes a powerful amplifier, capable of shaping perception, influencing global attention, and intensifying pressure on neighboring states. The question now is, was this amplification simply organic or strategically aligned with donor interests? Donor incentives and geopolitical pressures. To understand how cross-border activism gains momentum, we must shift our attention to the donors, governments, foundations, and private philanthropies whose money powers most civic activism in the region. Contrary to popular belief, donors rarely act out of pure charity. Funding streams are shaped by geopolitics, risk management, international agendas, and the long-term interests of global powers. And East Africa, strategic, young, and rapidly digitizing, has become one of the world's most important laboratories for governance experiments. Why Western donors prioritize Kenya? Kenya is not just a hub of activism, it is a geopolitical hinge. The US, the UK, the European Union, and major global foundations rely on Kenya as a safe and predictable launchpad for regional influence. Their incentives include security partnerships, counterterrorism, intelligence cooperation, and policing reforms. Economic interests, trade, digital infrastructure, agricultural value chains, and green energy investments. Democratic experiments, using Kenya as a model for elections, governance reforms, and civil liberties. Technological expansion, Silicon Savannah, digital ID programs, fintech regulation, and cyber policy innovation. From Washington to Brussels, Nairobi is viewed as the one East African country where long-term programs can be tested, measured, and scaled. How donor incentives spill over into neighboring countries. But donor incentives do not stop at Kenya's borders. Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and even South Sudan all feel the ripple effects. Because donors operate from Nairobi, their frameworks and philosophies often get exported into neighboring countries through regional workshops and training programs, cross-border advocacy networks, shared legal templates for human rights and governance, media collaborations and investigative journalism exchanges, digital campaigns that spread across East African social media. This means a movement conceived, trained, and funded in Nairobi can quickly become operational in Tanzania without any formal structure on the ground. Political incentives for amplifying tensions. In any major election, donors have mixed motivations. They want stability. They want democratic credibility. But they also need measurable impact, proof that their funding is creating change. And here lies the tension. If a country looks quiet, unresponsive, or politically closed, donor-funded organizations struggle to justify more investment. But when an election becomes contested, when tensions rise, when youth mobilize, when digital activism trends, donors see an opportunity to demonstrate relevance. This does not mean donors intentionally create chaos, but they amplify activity where they already have strong networks. And because most of those networks originate in Kenya, the effect is disproportionate. Some Tanzanian observers argue that this sets the stage for outside influence, where activism looks local, but the fuel behind it flows from Nairobi.